Hey everybody, this is Bill Dodd coming to you straight from Husker Harvest Days, where we've had a lot of great tips on getting your crop out of the field and into the bin. However, according to a 2017 report from Purdue University, over 500 cases of grain engulfment have been reported with a 62% fatality rate over the last 50 years. Now, one exhibit here is looking to shed some light on the subject with a feature film called Silo.
I want to know why something so selfless and something so simple could go south so quick.
1024 to Africa Grain and Feed. We have 2 individuals involved in a grain engulfment.
This week is National Farm Safety and Health Week. With that in mind, it's important to remember that grain entrapment is a risk that many producers face when working in grain bins. Silo is a feature-length film about a young man trapped in a grain bin, but more than that, it's a film about family, community, and a risk many producers take on a regular basis. This is a film that producer Sam Goldberg hopes can bring about not only professional awareness, but community awareness as well.
Because in small towns, most of the time, it's a volunteer fire department. So the fire chief often knows the person who's entrapped, or the family, the farmer, etc. So our movie is about an ensemble group of people who have to unite to help save an 18-year-old boy's life. And at its core, that's what the movie's about. It's about community. And we're distributing it in such a way that leverages community and taps into community across the country. So we're requesting and hoping that people will host a screening and be a community organizer and bring the movie to their town, and not just show the film, but host an event where maybe the volunteer fire department comes afterwards, does a grain rescue tube operation. They bring an expert in farm safety or an FFA teacher or the local farm bureau, the creditor, kind of bring everybody in the agricultural space together for an entertaining event that also can be educational by extension.
In just the last 2 months, 3 separate fatal grain entrapments occurred in Minnesota alone. If you're planning on working in a grain bin, it's always a good idea to have someone else around to get help if needed, or at the very least, let someone know where you are. According to the president of the Grain Handling Safety Coalition Board of Directors, Jeffrey Decker, when something like this happens, you're going to be working very hard against the clock.
The media, a lot of times you'll see on online stories or in the papers, man fell in a grain, or person fell in a grain bin. They didn't fall in the grain bin. They're going in there doing something they shouldn't be doing. Normally they go in, they leave the unload system running, they stand in the middle of the bin because a chunk of out-of-condition grain has blocked the grain from flowing. They stand right in the middle of that bin with a rod, and they jab down through the grain to bust up that chunk. And when it works, and when they hit that chunk of grain, the grain literally grabs them and starts pulling them right down with it. So that's the most common way people get entrapped in or engulfed in the grain. So when you're dealing with this, response time, depending on how close the fire department is, how soon somebody finds you. If you're out there by yourself and you have no way to contact somebody, it can be hours. It may not be until you miss lunch or don't show up at home for dinner that hey, we better go look for him. So in that case, that's a really bad scenario. If somebody's there to shut the auger off and go get help, then a lot of rural fire departments, their response time still may be 20, 30 minutes. And, sometimes you get lucky and they're 5-10 minutes away, but and the other problem with the volunteer fire departments, and it's not a problem with them as such, but they may not have all the expertise and training they need to complete a successful silo rescue. So in that case, they may be calling the larger city that may be an hour, 2 hours, even 3 hours away to get a high angle rope rescue team or something like that coming. So now although they're there, they may not be able to facilitate the rescue until additional help arrives.
Originally from Manhattan, agriculture was very distant from everyday life for producer Sam Goldberg, who says working on a project like this over a 5-year period gave him a deeper appreciation for the hazards of agriculture and the men and women who pour their blood, sweat, and tears into what can often be a thankless job.
I think it's important that independent films like this are produced and pay honor to agriculture and to farmers and to fire rescue workers, all of whom kind of work their butts off at a very difficult, thankless job often to protect or feed the rest of us.